Flight Boss, bitch, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of an Antares Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now we're gonna carry in right now we're gonna add another word to the definition series, the infinitions, because definition, deaf, you know what I'm saying, and is definite, and we don't need anything to be brought into this existence of knowledge that I'm bringing into this existence. We don't need any of that to be in the realm of reality of the way you guys look at death. So I want to take it out of that English frequency that y'all even use it in and all that, and the whoever created this English frequency, they take the certain words and shit and use it for their liking. And a lot of times I don't agree with the way they use the words. So a lot of times the frequency and the energy and the spirits and the vibrations and the souls that come from that frequency is still going to be the same. But the way you're going to understand it and the way you see it is going to be in the way of whoever presented you the word. So, you know what I'm saying? Definition in the English language is taking the frequency of death, and then having it be in... You guys already have a way of looking at death, and then when we take definitions and word them around the same frequency vibration, which is sound, light, and frequency vibration, which is ultimately a word, a sound. When we start to absorb certain words with the same frequencies but give them our own meaning, then what happens is when you have an intellectual beings that's here on earth that have a large influence amongst a large groupings amongst the people, large groupings of geographical locations, and they're able to take words and create languages, and within these languages they create meanings and dictionaries to these words, and these words still carry frequency sound vibrations from the original frequency sound vibration. So regardless if it's definition or you're in debt, you know what I'm saying, or death itself, or you being deaf, or you know what I'm saying, things of that nature. The frequency sound vibration of the death will never change. So the spiritual energies, which is the sound of it, the frequency and the energy you pick up from it, the sounds and the frequency, that's the spirits. And then how it make you feel, your emotions, that'll let you know what kind of souls is attached to it. Now, but everything comes from a spiritual annotation first, a frequency, an idea. Now, that will never change. So it don't matter what English this word is reworded in. It doesn't matter what frequencies and vibrations, whatever intellectual being try to change it. Whether this intellectual being, it can play out as a person or a spiritual being or whatever. Whether this person knew what they was doing or not, when they chose to create the definition or create this word and use certain frequencies, whether they knew what they was doing or not, the frequencies never change. The frequencies never change. This is why I call definitions infinitions, because I don't want these frequencies to be digressed. I want these frequencies to be progress. I want these transformative frequencies to be in a transformative energy, not no death energy for transformation. See, you guys look at death, you guys look at transformation and tie death to it, to the point that something has to die, but then ultimately something has to die to be transformed. But you guys look at death as something has to die, and then the things that you add to it is something that's not there anymore, or something that's not, you know what I'm saying, can't be. When we all know energy can't be destroyed, it's going to be reduplicated. But the way you guys look at death, you would think that's not it. Now, this is another example. When I said die, that's a sound frequency, and whatever words is tied to that is going to mean the same thing. So when we take die, that's part of English. Let's take the English language is very young and very stupid. They take a lot of the same words, which is the same frequency vibrations, and tie different energies to them, and tie different definitions of spirits, aka spirits, to them, and try to make them mean different things. But they tie the same. But it's still, here's an example right here. Now I was just talking about dying and how you guys say die. How you guys try to look at it now is it's a transformation that can't be reduplicated. That's how you guys looking at dying, death, die. Now I use the specific word dying because we're now making an example of two words being in the English language being the same word, but just using different letters, and try to fool you into thinking it's something different, when really whenever you use these words, you're still speaking up these same spirits, you're still speaking up these same souls and energy vibrations. Now let's take dye as in you dyeing something, like coloring something, right? Now when you color something or put dye to something, you're destroying whatever color it was previously. Therefore, you won't see the color it was previously before. So you're trying to destroy a frequency, which is a light. You're trying to destroy a certain light spectrum, and you only want to see this light spectrum. So you're trying to transform a light spectrum to not see the other spectrum anymore. So for a person who heavily dyes stuff all the time, or a person who heavily dyes their hair all the time, every time they see some new growth of the black hair or the blonde hair or the brunette hair growing back, they go dye their hair what they want, the color that they want their hair. They re-dye it again because they don't want to see the old color that's coming up again. So you see what I'm saying? So so the context is different, but because of certain letters that's changed, certain definitions, certain intellectual beings, the way they looked at the frequency vibration of da. But in the English language, it's two words that's mean two different things. But I just gave you the example why it represents the same frequency, a transformation that's not going to be reduplicated. So when you talk about someone dying in y'all realm of reality and using the English language, y'all speak about really death is a transformation, but you add annotations to it. Now when you speak of dying, you speak of a transformation not being able to be transformed. So it's something that has came and went, that's not coming back. That's how you guys look at death. That's how you look at dying. Now when you change the context and change certain letters, but it's the same frequency vibration in the English language. You got dying, but it's still doing the same thing spiritually, transforming something to not see the transform. But now in this case, it's not severe because letters is being changed, right? It's not D-I-E, it's D-Y. It got a Y in there and stuff like that. Now certain frequencies is going to change, and how we know how it get manifested, how we know which one is heavier and which one is lighter, because we know which one is less physical. We know one is dealing with coloring things externally. We know one is dealing with transformation of the physical form. So even though both is dealing with transformation of something physical, one is more dense than the other. One is your physical body. One is something physical on you or some material external in front of you. So we know we can tie down why one is less dense than the other, and we know if we want to get Pacific, it's due to certain letters, and if we want to get Pacific to the certain letters that's different in both of them, and what kind of frequencies both of the letters carry, then we could start to pinpoint why one is less extreme than the other, but they still carrying the same frequency, the same spirit of wanting to transform something and not seeing a transformation. Not seeing that transformation being reduplicated. So anytime somebody dye their hair, they're going to want to dye it over once they see the old hair come back, because they don't want to see the reduplication. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to see the reduplication of the transformation. They want the transformation to be the same, stuck, stagnated. So I know I could ramble, but a lot of that makes sense for the content of what you guys going to be hearing from my videos of infinitions. So this is not definitions, it's infinitions, and you can break this down into many spectrums, because this is why a lot of people get into their convictions to the point that they don't want to they don't want to use certain words anymore in their life just for the sake of if a person consciously aware of things. It's like, for an example, you may be an enlightened person, you may be a consciously aware person, right? And you may be around somebody who's not. So you bring yourself down to their level, right? So you having basic conversations with this person, right? So you find yourself using certain words. But if you consciously aware and you know thyself, you know you're gonna start to be aware that certain words you use, you're gonna not want to use it anymore. And anytime you use it, it start to feel like a distaste. You start to feel like, why is I'm using this? You start to build it even in your mind. You start to think, only reason I'm even using this word in this context because of who I'm talking to and who I'm around. And eventually, that's gonna have to change. You're going to have to get conviction to change that. But for starters, you know what I'm saying, it's going to start being like that to you. It's going to start feeling like that. And then that's going to be the first couple challenges for the universe to test you to see if you're strong enough and you got enough willpower and conviction and use enough of your Mars in order to fight these inner challenges to come over these oppressions so you can deal with a lot less experiences in those realms of realities than others. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all about experiences. We already in a dense realm of reality, but if you're going to be going in different portals and different realms of realities and shit, dealing with other people's programs and stuff like that, now if you're going to be going into heavy densities and heavy hells in someone else's programs and stuff like that, then you're going to be experiencing a lot of experiences in those portals, in those realm of realities. But you don't have to. You can lessen up your experience. For an example, like, all right, hell is everything. Hell is a realm of reality, a portal that you can set yourself in this realm also before you can go there physically, right? And it's not religious. I'm not only to bring that in there, but for the most part, let's give this an example, right? Now, say a person is living in hell. Now, hell, we know for the most part, hell is an example of something having so much density, so much weight added that it has to experience. It start to experience way more. Because for an example, we know it starts with a frequency, then a vibration, then an energy. You have an idea. Say you have a hellish negative idea, right? So you have hellish ideas, right? Then the more and more time and experience you give this idea, the more you attaching your soul to it, because that's your fluid. So this is going to become ultimately experience. And experience ultimately is good because you get wisdom and knowledge out of experience. But you could be getting wisdom and knowledge and experiencing shit you don't need to be experiencing. And if we know what came second was time, seconds, the fluid, the soul, which is the water, the yin, and water adds weight, which is emotions, feelings, motions, you know what I'm saying, how you move, moment, and you know, when you move through experience, motion through experience, you know, the more and more you emotionalize, soak in to an experience, the more you experience that. And the more you experience something, the more weight is added, because now you got more emotions, more feelings amongst the experience you in, because you experiencing every day. So repetition. You start experiencing separate realms of realities within this, and that's adding weight and density. So that's bringing you down. Anytime you too heavy, you go down. So now once you're getting down, the more and more down you go in this realm of reality is going to play out as in more experiences that this physical form have to go through. Even if you die in this and your spirit and soul come back into a lesser being in this realm of reality, in this 3D realm of reality, which will be like a bug or an animal, and it has to do a lot more experiences to get from point A to point B. We know, for an example, hell isn't anything but a manifestation and a representation of more experiences. So we know whatever portal or realm of reality you in, or whatever program you're in, depending on who created that program, whoever you're around, person, place, or thing, right? We know the more you experience it, it's a form of a hell. So we know if you in heaven, your so-called heaven from a religious standpoint, if you in heaven, if you doing the same goddamn thing every goddamn day, then heaven is technically hell from an archangel, from a spiritual point of view. Now, I'm not here to look down on anybody, but I can say for a fact, if I wanted to look down on religion, I can say for a fact that the whole concept that you guys even have is a contradiction, right? And if you really want to look at it, then it don't matter if you in hell or heaven. It doesn't matter if you experiencing pure bliss or you experiencing pure harshness in hell. From an archangel point of view, me just jumping here on earth, I'm not caring, not knowing why the fuck y'all think the way y'all think. Just me catching all contact as a first spiritual being experiencing y'all realm of reality for the first time. How I see it. How I see it. It don't matter if y'all in heaven or hell experiencing true bliss or experiencing true harshness. At the end of the day, if it's something that you're doing every day and it's in repetition, it's a form of density. It's a form of more experiencing. And anytime it's more experiencing in an angel, in a real realm of reality, in the real spiritual realm of reality, that's adding weight. That's being brought down. And if you already down, the goal is to go up. If you already up, the goal is to come down to help. I'm gonna give y'all something that might mess y'all mind up a little bit, because I don't think y'all getting it. You know what I'm saying? Because the fact that I'm even calling it heaven or hell, I have to tie it to a religious point of view. I have to tie it to something where I'm from. Look, these things exist, but y'all point of view of it is like I was talking about the last video. Y'all catching this information, y'all catching all the truth information, but before it get to y'all, before it gets absorbed in the true self, it's being blocked by a filter that you guys have. And y'all guys' filter is like an orb. And the orb is consists of the energy of the programs and the realms of realities and portals that you guys live in every day by going by these programs and realms of realities that y'all live in every day. You know what I'm saying? And if the intellectual being who created that program or realm of reality or portal that you go in every day, if that intellectual being, spirit or soul, is somewhere else that really don't need to be attached to where you need to be, then you're going to be further away from getting help. Now, this is what I was saying that's going to really mess your head up a little bit. Because the more and more you guys can wrap your head around this, the more and more you're going to be able to understand the true concept of, for lack of words, heaven or hell. And once you wrap your head around the way y'all been looking at it and the way how you can start to perceive it, you will start to understand it. And you would, because a lot of times when you tell somebody something but you don't give them an alternative to think about, a lot of times perceptions be hard to let go for people. So people don't like to let go perceptions, because like I said, it's a world you live in. Perception, well, that goes inside. So like I said, your yin realm is a world just like your yang realm. So it's a location. You make sure you surround yourself around people who stay in the same location you stay in eternally, same way externally. So you may live in the same location as somebody externally, but be living in different places internally. Y'all having two separate experiences. Surround yourself with the right people. But that's like your inner world. So if you don't want to let go certain perceptions, that means you're in certain programs or certain portals or certain realms of realities that you don't know how to. That's almost like in your internal world, you live in a city and state that you never even left before. So you only know about what goes on in that city or state. So you are oblivious to know how things work in other people's city and states. So when you got a relative that tell you to come visit in another state, and then you go to this other state, and then they give you all this information and stuff like that, you looking at this like you uncomfortable and stuff, but at the same time, you're looking at this like, well, dang, you're starting to see more. You're starting to understand. You start to understand more, but you get uncomfortable because it's like you're not new to this. You're not comfortable with what they got going on, because it's going to take time and experience. Anything dealing with the soul is going to take time and experience. See what I'm saying? Because it came second. Now, when you in this other city or state, it's gonna be uncomfortable because you're in a different state. So that's just like, your inner world, internal world. You literally in a different location that someone took you out of and tried to teach you, show you some other stuff, but you getting uncomfortable and getting scared because you're not familiar with that area. So internally, you're not familiar with that location the same way externally. You wouldn't be familiar with that location if it was a city or state externally. You see what I'm saying? So when we want to talk about, because I got a lot of points that's just going on in my head, like when we want to talk about actually the actual concept, this is what's going to mess your head up. All right, remember when I just said the higher your load is, the more you're going to want to come down to help others. But it's a key to that. You see what I'm saying? Because you have to come down. So eventually, if you have too much time and experience where there's no experience or time, eventually you're going to want to experience. So this is why people at the top really don't want anybody around. And this is why people at the bottom want people around. Now, let me go a little further. Now, check this out. Now, reason why I said the ones at the top want to come down and hate. I mean, not hate, want to come down and help. Because the lighter the load, we know the lesser the experience. The lesser the experience, the closer to nothingness. And we know nothing is no thing. Now, nothing is no thing. Let's get this English language correct. Nothing. When you say nothing, you're technically saying no thing. It didn't say a person or place. It said a no thing. So nothing is no thing. No material thing. It didn't say it wasn't a place. It didn't say no place. It didn't say no place. So we know there's a location for no thing. There's a location for no thing. When we say a thing, what's a thing? A thing is something of substance. You know what I'm saying? And it's a sum of it to come to one. It's like the 3 sequence. You know what I'm saying? So we know no thing is not a sum of things. We know no thing is not a sum of things. So no is singular. It's subtractive. It's deductive. You know what I'm saying? It's retracting. It's subtracting. It's not a sum. It's singular. So it's